Well, 2025 has been a wild ride, and it ain't even close to over yet. We are going to take a look at the CEO of the LA Port of Entry and see what he has to say about the impending economic collapse that we got here in America. So let's go ahead and just watch that video and just see what's going on,
Just describe for us, let's take a beat, really frame it for us, how much volume has just dropped off in the last few weeks?
Yeah, about a third of the import volume, which means give or take about 50,000 20-foot equivalent units gone off the arrivals coming in next week.
From next week is when you expect to see this really hit?
That's correct, and that matches up. The announcement's back on April 2nd, then on April 8th, a little bit of a change on everybody ex-China, Mexico, Canada, and those arrivals are coming at us this weekend.
We'll of course dedicate time to your port, but I'm just wondering how you're anticipating this rolls and ripples through the economy from here, how it hits trucking, when this turns up on the shelf. What's the distance, the time from when you see a drop off in volume and when we as consumers see the shortages?
Right, so CEOs are telling me hit the pause button, right? I'm not going to import anymore at these kind of prices. Let's wait and see. I don't know if it's going to be 2 hours, 2 days, or 2 weeks till I get some clarity. Then hiring. Off the table for right now. Capital investment, pause. And the retailers are telling me that realistically, with even the 10%, I'm going to have to pass it on to the consumers.
Yeah, I mean, that is one thing that I've been beating the dead horse on is the 10% across the board tariffs. That is clearly going to affect all of Americans. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump's red hat cult is trying to say. It's going to be rough for everybody until those get lifted, and then it's going to take another 30 to 60 days for everything to even out. This is going to affect not only the port of entry, but it's going to trickle down to trucking. It's going to trickle down to the workers at the warehouses, forklift operators, general laborers. It's going to trickle down to the stores. That being, cashiers needed to check things out. There's not as much stuff going out the door, so we need less cashiers. Stockers, not as many things getting stocked on the shelves, need less stockers. The list goes on and on. This is going to reverberate throughout our entire economy, and there's nothing we could do about it. Let's carry on with this video real quick.
So how much is this really coming from all over? It's not just about China. This is about really global trade coming to a standstill until there is a much greater degree of certainty and a much lower tariff rate than even the baseline that's been put out there.
Yeah, when I was last with you all, Lisa, I said global trade's going to slow, economies will follow, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Back in November, so many of us were wringing our hands about 4% inflation. We've just added 10 percentage points to imports coming out of Southeast Asia for our port, and these unbelievable numbers out of China.
How much?
That is such a great fucking point he just made. When Joe Biden was in office, people were losing their goddamn minds on 4% inflation. And it is going to be astronomically more than 4% in Trump's economy. I mean, just to start off, here I go again, the 10% tariffs across the board. That's an automatic inflation of 10% on the bottom of America. And this just goes on and on. It really feels hopeless, but we just got to keep pressure on the government and just hope that our leaders are doing what's right instead of just what's right for them.
Are you going to see a real decline in dock workers if this goes on?
Yeah, this is the question. So the trucker hauling 4 or 5 containers today, next week, she probably hauls 2 or 3. The dock workers are no longer going to see overtime and double shifts. They're going to probably work less than a traditional work week, starting right off the bat. Every 4 containers mean a job. So when we start dialing this back, it's less job opportunities.
And what happens if we get a deal?
If we get a deal, it's going to take about a month. Let me walk you through that real quick. About 2 weeks to get the ships repositioned around these major ports, from Qingdao to Shanghai to Xiamen, load up all those containers, and then another 2 weeks to steam across the Pacific to get to us. This is important because now we're talking about spring and summer fashion.
And see, that's what I was talking about when I said 30 to 60 days. It is about 30 days for the West Coast of America. But the farther you get east, the longer it takes to get across the country. I think the estimates for like New York City, for instance, is 55 to 60 days because it has to go through processing, trucking, processing again, trucking some more. these can go on 3 or 4 or 5 times before it even gets to its destination. So all these supply chains are very intricate and, you know, way over my head. But, you know, this guy knows what he's talking about, at least, you know, better than listening to Donald Trump nonstop.
We're kind of at a crux here that we've got to have something pretty quick.
And back to school, which
That's
is going
right.
to be, I think, very critical when it comes to political pushback for this administration. We have a story out, it was anecdotal reporting as well.
And my internet cut out, so I can't finish the video off of YouTube, but I'll just keep ranting about it a little bit more before I cut it off. Yeah, not only is it's leading into summer fashion, if you will, you know, back to school and all that, you know, our kids need new clothes, new shoes, and new books, and new this and that and the other thing, and all of this stuff is going to be hyperinflated. Not to mention, Donald Trump has already said something along the lines of, oh, your beautiful little 11-year-old daughter will not need 30 dolls anymore. Maybe 2 or 3 should be good, right? Because every little girl only needs 2 or 3 dolls. Just pull yourself up by your imaginary bootstraps and just get it popping. Anyways, what do you all think about the port of entry just dipping in numbers over the past week, and it's going to dip even farther? Let me know in the comments down below what you all think about that. Anyways, like the video if you liked the video. Subscribe would really help grow the channel, and I'll see you all on the next one. Later.